They say the poison's in the dose, but do you know it's also in the packaging, the branding, and the silence? In 2025, US health data shows a chilling trend. Hypertension deaths are up by nearly 12%. Type 2 diabetes is surging in adults over 50, and ultra-processed food is now consumed in over 70% of American meals. And yet, the grocery aisles keep smiling. How many more silent heart attacks, undiagnosed insulin crashes, or kids bouncing off walls before we ask, what's really in our food? What if that frozen dinner, that sweetened cereal, that microwaved comfort is just a ticking time bomb designed to keep you loyal, not healthy? This is the Downturn Report, where the truth gets personal. Today we dive into 9 seemingly innocent foods so dangerous that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. pleaded, "I pray all Americans pay attention to this, because what's at stake isn't just what's on your plate, it's how long you'll be around to clear it." Number 1. Donuts. A donut doesn't walk into your life with a warning label. It rolls in smiling, glazed like a used car salesman on commission, and before you know it, it's parked itself in your morning routine. One box turns into 2, and suddenly the thing that used to be a treat is now the reason your jeans whisper insults every time you bend down. But what if that donut wasn't just making you rounder? What if it's quietly dragging you toward a heart attack, one innocent bite at a time? Here's what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wants you to pay attention to. These pastries, often fried in cheap industrial oils, still carry the ghost of trans fats. Sure, the packaging now shouts 0 grams, but don't fall for the small print trick. The fats used today are just distant cousins, barely better and still capable of clogging your arteries like a Thanksgiving drain stuffed with gravy and regret. And the sugar? That's the real predator. One donut often hides 20 to 30 grams of it, sometimes more than your daily recommended limit, all packed into a snack that vanishes in 2 bites. Your blood sugar skyrockets, then crashes hard, leaving you groggy, cranky, and craving another. Over time, the pattern carves out a path to type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and even depression. How is it that something that once made kids smile now makes your doctor shake their head? Worse still, these pastries mess with your brain. Studies from 2024 show that processed sweets light up the same neural pathways as drugs. Your brain cheers, claps, demands more, but your body pays the price. And somehow we call this comfort food. Comfort? More like a ticking clock with frosting. Still, there's a way out of this sugar spiral. You don't need kale chips and quinoa sermons. Sometimes it's just switching to a toasted slice of whole grain bread with real peanut butter, or chilled apple slices with cinnamon. Boring? Maybe for the first week. But eventually, your taste buds wake up like someone turned the radio dial from static to Sinatra. And before we throw the bakery under the bus entirely, let's be honest. These companies didn't wake up evil. They're responding to demand, to cheap ingredients, to profit pressures in a system that rewards short-term addiction over long-term health. What kind of world incentivizes disease over wellness? Who built the rules that made cutting corners feel like the only way to stay in business? So maybe the donut isn't the villain. Maybe it's just a symptom. But what does that say about the machine behind it? And how many more of us have to pay with our health before we ask why the game is rigged in the first place? Number 2. Microwave popcorn. It doesn't scream. It doesn't sting. It doesn't even leave a mess on your counter. It just hisses softly, steams gently, and fills your kitchen with that irresistible buttery scent. The smell of comfort, of movie nights, of something simple. But what if that scent you trust is the red flag you missed? What if that innocent little bag isn't feeding your hunger, but feeding something much darker inside your body? Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has called out this kind of hidden threat, the kind that doesn't come with warning labels or dramatic headlines, but creeps in through convenience. Microwave popcorn, a snack wrapped in nostalgia, is one of the most under-the-radar dangers in your pantry. Before you even taste it, the bag's already made its move. Many are lined with grease-resistant coatings containing perfluorinated compounds. Yes, the same family linked to cancer, liver issues, and hormone disruption. Some brands phased out one chemical, PFOA, but swapped in others just as harmful. It's like removing arsenic and replacing it with lead. Congrats, you're still poisoned. And that butter aroma that fills the room? Don't let your nose be fooled. That isn't churned cream from a farm. It's often an industrial fragrance cooked up with diacetyl or its shady cousins. Diacetyl earned its nasty nickname, popcorn lung, after factory workers who inhaled it suffered permanent respiratory damage. And while some companies claim they've removed it, history tells us these industries don't stop. They adapt, rebrand, rename. The formula changes, but the risk stays the same. Now let's talk numbers. A single bag can drown your system in sodium, unhealthy fats, and artificial natural flavors. It's a chemistry project with a warm hug on the outside. And here's the gut punch. Most of the corn itself is genetically modified, altered at the source before they even dunk it in fake butter and mystery dust. So when you hit start on that microwave, you're not just heating popcorn, you're activating a cocktail of altered genes, synthetic chemicals, and regulatory neglect. But here's the twist they didn't see coming. You can take that comfort back. Real popcorn, the kind you air pop at home, is cheap, satisfying, and safe when you control what goes in it. Olive oil instead of margarine sludge, sea salt instead of chemical snow. And if you like flavor, try garlic powder, smoked paprika, or nutritional yeast. Suddenly, it's not a danger disguised as a snack. It's just popcorn, the way it should be. Still, before we throw every snack brand into the fire, it's worth asking, why do they do it? Why would any company lace a bag of popcorn with toxins just to make it more shelf-stable? Maybe it's not just about profit. Maybe it's about a system that makes it easier to sell chemicals than to source real butter. Maybe they're under pressure from supply chains, market margins, or even quiet regulatory loopholes. We'll never see the full picture, because the system isn't designed for that. It's designed for silence. And maybe that's the bigger question. If even our snacks can't be trusted, what else are we swallowing without ever knowing? What will it take for us to look at the small things, those quiet, everyday choices, and realize they're shaping the future of our health, one bag at a time? Number 3. Mashed potatoes. They just sit there quietly, fluffy, warm, and deceptively kind. A gentle spoonful lands on your plate, and for a moment, everything feels right. But beneath that creamy comfort lies something colder than any freezer aisle. A mix of fillers, preservatives, and sodium bombs disguised as mashed potatoes. Let's start with the salt. One so-called serving of instant mashed potatoes can pack more than 400 milligrams of sodium, and we both know nobody stops at one scoop. Add gravy, toss in some margarine, and suddenly you're swallowing a quarter of your day's salt limit in just a few forkfuls. That extra sodium doesn't just make your rings tighter, it makes your blood vessels work overtime, slowly driving up pressure without a single warning bell. You won't feel the damage until you do. And the calories? Here's the part that really bites. A single cup can climb past 200 calories. Not because potatoes are high calorie on their own, but because the powdered versions are padded with artificial fats and shelf-stable thickeners. They're built for convenience, not health. Think about it. If your side dish needs synthetic oil and anti-caking agents to mimic homemade comfort, are you really eating food, or just a lab-tested illusion in starch's clothing? Then there's the list of extras. Emulsifiers, flavor boosters, and even anti-foaming agents like silicon dioxide, which sounds less like food and more like something you'd find in a caulking gun. These compounds might make it easy to whip up a bowl in 5 minutes flat, but your body will spend years trying to figure out how to process them. But here's what Instant never tells you. Real mashed potatoes don't need a chemistry degree. Boil a few fresh ones with the skin on for fiber, toss in a little butter or olive oil, maybe a dash of garlic or black pepper. The result? Creaminess without compromise. Flavor that doesn't come with a warning label. In a side dish that's actually worth the space on your plate. Still, you have to wonder, why would companies make something so simple into something so artificial? Maybe it's the race for shelf life. Maybe it's cost. Or maybe it's a system that pushes out real food in favor of lab convenience. Measure torfita 2 hours, wrapped in comforting packaging and empty promises. And that's where it lands, right in your kitchen. Will you keep reaching for what's fast and familiar, even if it quietly chips away at your health? Or will you pause, rethink, and realize that what's easy today could cost you far more tomorrow? Number 4. Instant noodles. You'd think danger would come with flashing lights or at least a skull and crossbones, but sometimes it shows up in a humble paper cup, with the scent of faux chicken and promises of quick relief after a long, thankless day. Instant noodles don't shout, they whisper. And what they're saying isn't, "I'm here for you." It's more like, "You won't notice what I'm doing until it's far too late." That seemingly innocent broth? It can carry up to 1,500 milligrams of sodium in a single serving. That's like emptying nearly a full salt shaker straight into your bloodstream. Your heart doesn't get a break, it gets a burden. Your kidneys, they're on damage control. And the bloating? That's your body waving a white flag, all that for a 3-minute meal you barely even chewed. And then comes the seasoning packet, the tiny villain wearing a foil cape. It's not broth, it's not even food by most standards. It's MSG, artificial meat flavor, and a constellation of chemicals designed to hijack your brain and make you crave more. Some folks get headaches, others get dizzy. But even if you don't feel it today, ask yourself this. If flavor has to be faked this hard, what exactly are we eating? The noodles themselves aren't much better. Most are flash fried in cheap oils before packaging, absorbing trans fats like a sponge in fryer grease. These fats don't leave quietly. They clog, linger, and multiply your risks of heart disease, weight gain, and cholesterol spikes. It's not just fast food, it's food designed to outlive you on the shelf. Now, nobody's saying you have to break up with ramen completely, but maybe it's time for a little tough love. Swap those chemical-laced bricks for fresh rice noodles. Make a broth that's low in sodium and rich in garlic, green onions, maybe a handful of real veggies. You still get the slurp, the warmth, the satisfaction, just without signing away another year of your life to the food aisle. Still, you've got to wonder, how did we get here? When did convenience become more important than consequences? These companies didn't invent the craving. They just perfected how to exploit it. Caught between profits and pressure, many keep serving shortcuts because that's what the system rewards. So the real question isn't what's in the noodles, it's what kind of world makes this the norm. And are we okay with that? Number 5, potato chips. They don't sneak up on you. They announce themselves with a metallic shimmer and a crinkle loud enough to turn heads. Potato chips don't whisper. They scream from store shelves like old friends who know your weakness. You pop the bag, and suddenly you're knee-deep in crumbs, wondering how just one became half the bag. But here's the thing most folks try not to think about. Every chip comes with baggage, and it's heavier than you think. First, let's look at the salt. One 8-ounce bag can hold as much as 1,200 milligrams of sodium. That's more than half of what your body should handle in an entire day. And who's honestly stopping at one serving? That salt doesn't just make you thirsty. It turns your body into a sponge, trapping water, bloating tissues, and quietly raising blood pressure. Over time, that pressure wears your heart down like tires on gravel, increasing the risk of stroke or worse. But while your heart's straining, your taste buds are having a party. It's a trade your body never agreed to. And the fat? That's not your average drizzle of olive oil. These chips are deep fried in industrial oils that cling to your arteries like grease on an old diner griddle. Each bite lays another thin coat of damage. The worst part? Those fats aren't even the kind your body knows how to deal with efficiently. They linger, they pile up. They change your blood work before you even notice the scale moving. But the scariest twist comes from the very thing that makes chips crispy. High-heat frying of starchy foods creates acrylamides, compounds under the microscope for their links to cancer. The science is still evolving, but are you really waiting for a headline to confirm what your common sense is already whispering? If it walks like poison and crunches like poison, maybe, just maybe, it's worth pausing. Still, let's be fair, everyone craves a crunch now and then. You don't have to swear off snacks forever. Roasted chickpeas, carrot sticks with hummus, or even homemade kale chips tossed in sea salt can still hit that spot without dragging your arteries into the mix. Crunch doesn't have to come coated in regret. And maybe, just maybe, the blame doesn't land entirely on the chip. Maybe it's the system behind it, one that values shelf life over shelf stability, appearance over health, profit over people. These companies aren't feeding families. They're feeding habits. They're not handing you food. They're handing you a loaded question in a shiny bag. So before you reach for that next handful, stop and ask, if this snack stays fresh through an apocalypse, what is it really doing inside of you? Number 6, hot dogs. It doesn't tiptoe in. It struts up with a grin, sizzling on the grill like summer itself. Hot dogs don't pretend to be fancy, they just promise comfort. A backyard barbecue, a ball game, a bite of nostalgia. But nostalgia has a funny way of hiding things, because behind that perfectly smooth tube of meat is a process so artificial it makes frozen dinners look handcrafted. Let's not mince words. Hot dogs are born from leftovers. Not the kind you box up from last night's roast, but the discarded trimmings. Lips, connective tissue, and scraps swept off the floor of industrial meat plants. These odds and ends are pulverized into a pink paste that looks more like drywall compound than anything edible. From there, the lab takes over. Salt, flavor enhancers, stabilizers, and preservatives are added to mold the goo into uniform, skinless tubes. No variation, no irregularity, just factory-pressed meat sticks that resemble nothing found in nature. And the sodium? One hot dog delivers more than 500 milligrams. 2 of them, and you've swallowed nearly half your day's limit before the bun even enters the equation. That kind of salt intake doesn't just make you thirsty. It inflates your tissues, stresses your heart, and keeps your blood pressure on a treadmill it can never step off. All for something that goes down in 3 bites, flat. Then there's the sweet lie. High fructose corn syrup. It's not just for soda anymore, it's in your sausage too. This cheap sugar substitute has been tied to obesity, fatty liver disease, and insulin resistance. And we haven't even talked about the nitrates and nitrites, preservatives that help hot dogs keep their color and shelf life, but have been flagged in cancer studies for years. These chemicals might protect the hot dog, but they're not doing your cells any favors. Still craving something you can hold in one hand and eat in 3 bites? You don't need to ditch convenience, just redefine it. A whole wheat wrap with roasted veggies and a swipe of hummus offers crunch, creaminess, and flavor without the lab report. You get the satisfaction, not the side effects. And maybe it's time to stop blaming the hot dog and start questioning the machine behind it. Why does a product made from discarded meat need to look so perfect, last so long, and taste so addictive? Maybe it's not just about feeding people anymore. Maybe it's about designing products that sell, even if they slowly sell you out. So the next time that grill fires up and those shiny tubes start to sizzle, ask yourself, are you really feeding your hunger? Or feeding a lie that's been dressed up to look like tradition? Number 7. Breakfast cereals. It's not the sugary drizzle or the colored marshmallows that betray you first. It's the smile on the box. That cheerful cartoon character with its arms wide open, promising adventure and energy, practically leaps off the shelf like it's doing you a favor. But what if that box isn't handing you breakfast at all? What if it's quietly handing you tomorrow's health problems, wrapped in confetti and fake nutrition claims? Let's talk sugar, the main character in this morning drama. A so-called serving of many breakfast cereals hides nearly 5 teaspoons of sugar. That's assuming you stop at a single serving, which most of us don't. We pour by instinct, not by measurement. Just a few extra shakes, and suddenly your breakfast bowl contains more sugar than a frosted donut. Before you've even tasted your first sip of coffee, your blood sugar's launched into orbit, then crashes hard before lunch, dragging your energy, your focus, and your willpower down with it. But the sweet talk doesn't end there. These cereals are mostly made from refined grains that have been bleached, flattened, stripped of nutrients, and turned into edible glitter. There's little to no fiber to help your body manage that sugar rush. It's the nutritional equivalent of burning gasoline in a paper car. Quick start, quick crash, and a crash that keeps you coming back. That's not breakfast, it's a business model. And let's not forget the sideshow. Artificial colors, synthetic flavors, and preservatives that ride shotgun in every spoonful. Some of these chemicals have been flagged in studies linking them to hyperactivity in kids, digestive issues, and even long-term metabolic concerns. And yet somehow they get a free pass because the box says whole grain. That's like dunking a candy bar in oatmeal and calling it healthy because of the fiber crumbs. It doesn't have to be this way. A warm bowl of plain oatmeal with real fruit, a couple of boiled eggs, or even toast with avocado offers fuel your body can actually use. Not glitter, not sugar bombs, just food, real honest food that doesn't need a cartoon to sell itself. And maybe that's the part worth questioning. When did the most important meal of the day become a stage for marketing gimmicks and empty promises? Why does breakfast need a mascot, a jingle, and a jungle of health claims just to earn a place on your table? Because if your cereal box needs a character to convince you it's good for you, maybe it knows it wouldn't stand a chance telling the truth. Number 8. Red meat. The sound is hypnotic. Grill sizzling, fat popping, smoke dancing upward like incense from a shrine. That steak doesn't just cook, it performs, promising strength, satisfaction, and some primal, chest-thumping notion of what it means to eat like a man. But under that charred crust and juicy center hides a story that's not so bold. No drama, no fanfare, just the slow erosion of your health, one celebratory bite at a time. Red meat has long been marketed as the cornerstone of vitality. Yet behind the scenes, your arteries tell a very different tale. Saturated fats from beef and steak don't just melt away, they cling. Like burnt oil in a cast iron skillet, they build up, harden, and slowly turn your blood vessels into narrow back roads. Your heart doesn't thank you. It strains quietly, constantly, like an old truck dragging a heavy load. And each treat-yourself burger or steak adds another weight to the haul. But when the red gets processed, think bacon, sausages, deli meats, the damage comes with an extra twist. Preservatives, nitrates, and nitrites sneak in, all working silently behind the scenes. No symptoms, no warning, just long-term effects that show up when it's already too late. Scientists have compared these additives to ticking time bombs for a reason, and if you think the danger ends with ingredients, think again. High-heat grilling produces chemical compounds, heterocyclic amines and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, that have been linked to cancer. That grill mark we crave? It's not just flavor, it's a scar left by heat and chemistry. And here's the irony that really stings. Red meat doesn't just harm you, it slows you down. It sits heavy in your gut, dragging your energy like sandbags tied to your ankles. You don't bounce back from a steak. You lumber. And somehow this has been sold to us as a symbol of strength? Power shouldn't come with bloating, fatigue, and silent inflammation. That's not food, it's flattery in disguise. Still, you don't have to sacrifice pleasure to save your heart. Swap the slab of beef for grilled salmon, rich in omega-3s that fight inflammation. Or toss chickpeas and olive oil with roasted veggies for a bowl that nourishes instead of narrows. These are meals that leave you light, not lethargic. And maybe it's time to ask why the red meat industry still wraps health warnings in patriotic branding and cowboy hats. Maybe they're not selling you fuel, they're selling you an image, and maybe, just maybe, it's time to choose what serves your future, not just your cravings. Because if strength is what you're after, why trust a food that breaks you from the inside out? Number 9, white bread. It doesn't bark, sting, or make your stomach churn. No, white bread plays a different game. It comforts you. A slice of it, golden from the toaster, butter melting into its fluffy surface, feels like Sunday mornings in your grandma's kitchen rolled into one. It doesn't warn you, it soothes. But that's the trick, because what feels like home can sometimes act more like a hustler in disguise, padding your plate with empty promises and leaving your body worse off with every innocent bite. Let's start with the flour, if we can even call it that. By the time it lands on your grocery shelf, it's been stripped, bleached, and processed beyond recognition. All the fiber, nutrients, and complexity of a whole grain are long gone, replaced with something pale, fluffy, and nutritionally hollow. And yes, they actually use bleaching agents on some brands just to make it look cleaner, whiter, fresher. If you wouldn't eat a spoonful of bleach, why eat bread that was whitened to impress your eyes while starving your cells? But it gets worse. To mask the lack of flavor and shelf life, sugar is often added, sometimes more than you'd find in certain cereals. That means with every sandwich, your blood sugar surges, then crashes, leaving you foggy, fatigued, and reaching for more. This isn't hunger. It's chemical manipulation wrapped in nostalgia. The more you eat, the more you want, and the cycle feeds itself, quite literally. Then there's the fiber, or the ghost of it. Without fiber, digestion speeds up, energy dips faster, and satiety vanishes like smoke. You find yourself eating more to feel less full, and what used to be a sandwich now feels like a sleepy brick in your gut, dragging your body down instead of fueling it. Strange how something this light can leave you so sluggish, isn't it? The saddest part is how many hardworking families trying to stretch every dollar still believe they're choosing something wholesome. The branding says enriched, soft, classic, but what it really means is processed, depleted, and engineered to keep you coming back. It's not nourishment, it's nostalgia packaged as convenience, but it doesn't have to be this way. Real bread is still out there. Dense, chewy, whole grain loaves made from actual food, not food-flavored powder. Bread that fills you up, fuels your day, and doesn't leave your blood sugar spinning like a carnival ride. So before you reach for that bright white loaf with the comforting name, pause and ask yourself, if something this simple needs bleaching, sugar, and marketing to make you love it, what is it hiding in the softness? What we eat isn't just food, it's a message we send to our bodies every single day. If these truths opened your eyes, imagine what else they've hidden. Don't stay in the dark. Subscribe for more hard truths, real choices, and the power to take back your plate, one bite at a time.
Thanks so much for sticking with us to the very end. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe so you won't miss any of our daily updates. And now feel free to check out some of our latest and most popular videos showing up on your screen. Goodbye, and see you in the next one.